My name is James Byagaba from Uganda. Partnerships for sustainable growth, in my opinion, can be greatly facilitated if regional blocks like the East African community, comprising of Tanzania, Uganda, Kenya, Rwanda, and Burundi, are politically stable and economically strong. Rwanda, no doubt, our neighbor, has done very, very well. You've been told GDP growth of about 8% for the last decade. Now, I would like to ask Dr. Gatete, what useful tips can you pass on to your colleagues within the community so that we improve on our performance and therefore become better and more viable partners for our Asian colleagues?
Yeah, thank you very much, and I really thank your question. We are in the same region, and we all believe that regional integration is the way to go. And when we talk about the infrastructure, we are talking about the infrastructure that are linking our entire region. In Rwanda, what we did, especially after the genocide in 1994, was to make sure that we give hope to our people. And in this case, we needed to start with a vision. And our vision is to make sure that we become a middle-income country by the year 2020. And at that point, we also accompany that vision with different strategies. And when we talk about development, for us, it has to be inclusive growth. It's not just the figure of 8% of growth, because you know where we started. In 1995, our economy had declined by half. Inflation was at 65%. And at that point, poverty levels was at 78%. But right now, the poverty levels have come from 78% now to less than 45%. Our target is to make sure that by the year 2020, it's below 20%, and we had eliminated completely the extreme poverty. So the inclusiveness, is very, very crucial. And that's why the focus is on the people, the women, especially to become part of the process. And that's why constitutionally, we had allowed that in decision-making bodies of our country, 30% should be women minimum. But of course now in parliament, there are 64% of women comprising the lower house of parliament. But what we did that is very crucial is to make sure that we focus on two layers. Policies that are improving, that are reducing the poverty levels, also the policies that are increasing our economic growth. And that's why we came up with now the second generation of our economic strategy that is focusing on 4 areas. The economic transformation, where private sector is very, very crucial. And this is what is going to drive the economic growth. We are focusing on high infrastructure projects that any of the private sector in country, outside, can be able to invest. The second is rural development, where we are focusing on modernizing agriculture, the feeder roads, the rural markets, the rural infrastructure that are going to improve the jobs and also the livelihoods in the rural sector. The third is productivity and youth employment. What has been said here, investment in people is very, very crucial. And at all levels, at high levels, but also at lower levels in terms of the technical, vocational, and training institutions, and focusing on the youth who are going to sustain the economic growth. And finally, we are also focusing on accountable governance. For us in Rwanda, accountability is very, very crucial. So you must have a vision, you must have a long-term strategy, and in the case of Rwanda, we have something else. We have the performance contracts across the board. What we say is what we do. And that kind of discipline is very, very crucial. And that's why what has helped us in making sure that we focus on several things. One, macroeconomic stability, with high growth, but with low inflation. Number 2 is creating a conducive business environment. That's why we came number 2 in Africa, and that's why we are the best reformer globally. It's because of the focusing on creating a conducive environment. We're the only country in Africa where you can register a company in only 6 hours. We're the only country in Africa where where we allow all Africans to come with no visa and get it at the airport in Rwanda. No other country is doing that. We're the only country in the region that is allowing all our neighbors to come and work in Rwanda without requiring work permits. This is just open. Our economy is very liberalized. You bring in your capital, you can take out your capital anytime that you want, with no restrictions of any kind. And that's why we are doing this, is to make sure that we have good conducive business environment, we have macroeconomic stability, we have peace, we have security, and we have an inclusive growth that's benefiting every Rwandan. And that's why when you see the growth, we see the improvement in education, where our primary school enrollment, for example, is 96.5%, where the health indicators really has been great in terms of reducing the maternal mortality, the infant mortality, but at the same time, we are seeing the benefits in terms of the coverage, in terms of health insurance. That has been very, very crucial. So we are seeing the growth, but we are saying, where is this growth going? And who is it benefiting? And that's why I want to uplift everyone and to make sure that they have the same lifestyle that you can see in the rich countries that have taken for granted. Thank you.